So if you hear any like loud bangs outside or any really noise at all, that's not the sound of gunshots. It's probably the sound of my neighbors shooting off some fireworks because it is New Year's Eve. And what am I doing? I'm sitting in my house talking about movies. Whoop-de-doo. But yes, indeed, people, my number 4 pick for my favorite film of the year would have to be the new James Bond film Skyfall, or James Bond number 23, or 007 Skyfall, or hey, it's a new James Bond movie. I forgot the name of the title, but so I gotta go see it because it's James Bond. But for lack of better words, I love this movie. I absolutely love this film. I did not at all hesitate to put this on like my top, like at least 5 favorite films of the year. I absolutely love this movie. I think it's great, and it is by far my favorite James Bond film. Just hands down, period, end of story. Now, keep in mind, I haven't seen every single James Bond movie ever. I haven't seen all the Connery films, all the Lazenby films, all the Roger Moore films. I haven't seen all of the Timothy Dalton films, the Brosnan films. I have seen all the Craig films because there's only like 3 of them. I've seen them all. I haven't seen every single James Bond film. I haven't seen every single James Bond film, every single version of James Bond. I haven't, so, keep that in mind. There probably is another James Bond film out there that would probably be my favorite if I saw it, but right now, this is hands down mine, as well as many others' favorite James Bond film ever. It's just really that good. But before I get into this film, I should probably go ahead and talk, really quickly about the last 2 Bond films. Casino Royale. I liked it. I really did. First Bond film I ever saw in theater, so I do have a soft spot for it. It has a soft spot in my heart, or whatever. I really liked it. Second, Quantum of Solace, hated it. Everything about it, I hated it. It did not at all feel like a Bond film. It wasn't a Bond film, in my opinion. I hated it. Did not one bit like it. Terrible film. Did not like it. Skip it. It's terrible. This one, like I said, loved it. Absolutely loved it. Everything about it was great and amazing. I loved everything about it. And there was only like one thing I didn't really like that much about it, and that there wasn't really like a main central Bond girl, and that's something that with every single James Bond movie, there's got to be like a main chick that James Bond hooks up with the movie. In this, there really isn't like one that's there until like the end. Like one gets killed, and then one is only in there for like a little bit, and that's spoiler alert, Moneypenny, Eve Moneypenny, who was in all the other James Bond movies and so forth. She's only in it for a little bit, and then at the end, it's like, oh my god, she's Moneypenny. She's only in it for like a little bit, so there's like no like main Bond girl in it who's there until like the very end of the film. And if there is, for example, Moneypenny, they're not really developed or anything, which, that's really my only problem with this film. So, and that's just a small, minor problem I could really get over. It's not like it's the end of the world or, oh, this movie's bad. I get over that. And this movie, in my opinion, is a perfect 10 out of 10. Loved it. My favorite James Bond movie. End of the story. One thing I really like about it is that this is, the release of the film did coincide with the 50th anniversary of James Bond ever since Dr. No first came out. That was the first James Bond movie. Well, technically, but still, first James Bond movie. This did coincide with the release of it, so this was basically almost an anniversary film. And there were a lot of, throwbacks to, the original films, like the old Austin Martin is in it, which was awesome. And they even have, this old, 50-year-old bottle of scotch in it, which I was just like, okay, it could have been any year, but they chose 50 years, just, I guess, for the release of this film, so that's kind of cool, 50-year-old bottle of scotch. That was pretty cool. The little things like that I really like. It was a perfect blend of, an anniversary film and, a Bond film. Because what happens with anniversary films is something I noticed a lot, is that usually the anniversary section of it basically overshadows the just general film section of it. But here, it's a perfect, 50-50, half-and-half blend. It really works well. It's a great Bond film as well as a great anniversary film, and I really like that. Another big point for the film is the villain. And this is a huge problem with the last 2 Bond movies, and I think everyone can agree on this. The villains were the most just boring, most unmemorable Bond villains, and that says a lot because all the Bond villains before were supposed to be like, over the top, wacky, wacky, memorable, crazy bad guys. And these two villains were the most just boring, unmemorable villains in James Bond history. They were just so unentertaining. I barely remember what their plans were. I don't remember what their names were. Like the first guy, Quantum of Solace, all I remember is that he had like a scar. That's it. Like that's all I remember from it. I don't even remember the name or the villain plot for Quantum of Solace. Again, a reason why I hate that movie. Terrible villain. Casino Royale I like because it I don't know why. I'll explain that when I review it, but. I liked that movie. The villain was terrible. Quantum of Solace, I hated that movie. The villain was also terrible too. This time we actually get a not only awesome villain, but a memorable and funny villain, who's played by Javier Bardem, and he does a great job. And he's a hilarious villain. He's memorable. Everything that was wrong about the last two Bond villains, they got right with this villain, and he was just so great, and he was hilarious and awesome. And the best part about it is his introduction. Like, they got Bond captured and he's just walking down a hall, and they just settle on this one shot of him just walking down this hall, talking about like this one story about like rats or something. I forgot about that story, but they never cut to anything. It's literally just one huge long shot of him walking in behind Bond's shoulder. It's shot behind Bond's shoulder or whatever, and they don't cut to any reaction from like any of the actors, like not Bond or the henchman behind him. It's just like one long shot of him just walking down the hall, and it goes on for like a while, and it's a great introduction. They don't cut to any reactions. They just like settle on this one shot of this one guy. That is a great villain introduction right there. And the whole story was really interesting, and it was great, and it was awesome. And his whole plot was really simple, but it was like really memorable too. Like all he wanted to do was like get back at M for betraying him. Like his whole story was that he used to be an agent. M left him to die, and he lived, and he just wants to, get back in her. It was a really simple plot, but it was still a memorable movie, which is really good. Like, it's just, like a revenge scheme. They still make it memorable. That's a really good, way to do something. Like, you can still do a simple plot, but still make it really memorable. I hope a lot of people understand that. You don't just have to make it all big and complex and new stories. You can still do a really simple story and make it very memorable. But that's really all he wanted to do, and that's something that's really, really cool and awesome. So there you go. Like, I love this villain. I loved all the actors really in general. Daniel Craig did a great job as James Bond again. Judi Dench is back as M, and spoiler alert here, in her final role as M. She does, and it will be dying in the film, which is really sad. Everyone in this was a great actor. I loved everyone in this film. I loved everything about this film. Perfect 10 out of 10 score. I'm glad I put it on my list. You should too. It's a great film. If you haven't seen it, then it's probably still in theaters. You can probably go see it for a really cheap price, or just wait until it comes out on DVD or whatever. But James Bond, 007 Skyfall, perfect, great Bond film. Great anniversary film, great, just all-around great movie. I hope I see it on a lot of, like, big internet reviewers, favorites list. Love it. I thought it was great. I hope you guys did too. If you didn't, then, tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. I really would like to know. And that's all I really have to say about it. So stay tuned for my number 3 pick for favorite film of the year. I'll see you soon.